Hello, everybody, and welcome to the seventh event in our annual History Colloquium series. Though the Department of History would rather have held this event in person, I thank you all for having paused your binge of Outer Banks to be here. But damn, that show is raw. Anyway, as many of you know, I am Dr. Fishman, the Bloom Professor of Late Victorian Sports and Recreation, with a focus on those bicycles with the big wheel in the front. This evening's topic is fitting for the times we're living in: health and wellness in history. With us, we have Mallory Cordata, who will be sharing her research on the role of disease with regard to 18th century French naval warfare. And we are also joined by Robert Grounding, the preeminent scholar on meat packing from the early 20th century. Welcome, you two.
Thanks, Toby.
Happy to be here. Happy to talk about meat.
Great. Remember, everybody, to submit your questions through our chat feature. Also, I'm supposed to say that this discussion will be available on Stitcher, whatever that means. My first question is for both of you. In your research, whose health is in danger and why?
Great question, Professor. On French ships, not only were there insects and a lack of fresh produce which led to scurvy, but, unlike Spanish sailors or the marineros, the French didn't have access to slow-drying linen garments, which led to weakened immune systems.
That's very interesting, Dr. Cordata. What about centuries later for the meatpacking industry, Dr. Grounding?
Well, it's safe to say that my research is a little different from Dr. Pinata's.
Dr. Cordata.
Okay. We're talking about stuff a little more significant than a few insects and some wet clothes. My paper takes a look at John Tanner, an owner of a meat packing factory outside of St. Louis, Missouri. Reports from a 1907 inspection of his factory showed that he relied on hard labor, and they weren't just packing the meat, they were producing some of the excrements that went into it. Yeah, that's right. No factories at Mr. Tanner, no bathrooms at Mr. Tanner's factory. Workers would gather around these huge drums of meat where they would dispose of their fecal matter. And that would then be ground up with the bones and the teeth and the feathers and all the good little bits.
Wow, that is indeed quite the image, Dr. Grounding.
Thank you.
Oh, look at that. I see we have our first audience question. It's for both of you from Alex, who asks, how did conditions improve once sanitation issues were exposed?
Well, from my historiographical review, outbreaks of diseases like typhus, dysentery, pneumonia, and typhoid led to an outcry. So, in 1731, the French naval board rose up.
As for the meat packing, in my experience, when people learn that they're eating poop, they're not too happy about it. But things aren't perfect today. Just the other day, I got some takeout from Del Taco. I was driving around eating my tacos and then started to experience that worst type of feeling. All sorts of churning liquids in my stomach. Then I could feel it crowning and brought it into this world, if you know what I mean. No umbilical cord though, but plenty of blood.
Oh, well, that imagery of yours is such a treat.
Thank you.
Look at that. I see we have our second audience question. It's from Liam, who writes, this is for Dr. Grounding. What did you get at Del Taco? I've always wanted to try the shrimp, but am now unsure.
Well, Liam, I got the shrimp, and in all, didn't regret it.
Let's go back to Dr. Cordata. Can you tell us anything interesting to keep our minds off of eating Del Taco and what comes after?
Sure. I think that one of the most important parts of my research is hospital administration.
Yeah, not many hospitals in my papers. Workers became deathly ill in the meat factories, developing large sores up and down their bodies from the poop meat, pus oozing out of the popped blisters, and they would just
Excuse me, I was talking, and as someone who holds a degree from Penn, which I am very proud of.
We have another audience question, and it could be for you, Dr. Cordata. Liam writes, this is for Dr. Grounding. You mentioned feces. What about pee-pee?
Oh, well,
And with that, I think we'll take a break.